during all these discussions about recapturing FTE through increasing teaching load, I was wondering whether the deans would actually have the liberty of reallocating the resources as they see appropriate, instead of following some institutional NAU standard saying that, okay, 3.3 is the standard release, and if I look at your research and you're not productive, so we're going to move you to 3.4. What I'm saying is, what about some of those who are actually more productive than the average? Would the dean actually have the leeway of reducing those further instead of just making them stick to the average of 3.3?
Yes, I think it can't be a formula. It can't be one size fits all. I think the only way for us to really grow our research and our publications and our external grants is by having the dean have flexibility to move things around and really provide the support that the very productive researcher needs, and somebody else who's less productive can pick up the teaching. It has to be, that's why I've been talking about for differentiated workload for the last 10 years. And that's why I can't get into the business of deciding who should teach what. That's between you and your dean, and hopefully you would come to a resolution about that at SOE time. Yes.
Are the other schools in Arizona under the same constraints that we are, so that as their class sizes grow and ours grow, we can still maintain our marketing edge of being the personalized education?
Well, there's no question we want to maintain our marketing edge. Depending on which institution you talk about, this is kind of interesting. The institution that's in the best financial shape in Arizona is NAU. They did a review of the financial strengths of the three universities, and both ASU and U of A have been downgraded by one or the other of the bond rating agencies, which is not a good thing. But unless we can get to your heart of your question, unless we can solve this issue of rationalizing faculty loads, we have to do that so we do maintain the contact with students. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 classes a week. It could be some web and then a lot of personal interaction in the other time. And so faculty members begin to think about how they want to deliver their programs in slightly different fashion. There's no law that says it has to be done the way we currently do it. Technology is an amazing tool on occasion. So we finally, after all these years, have the technology package which allows us to study our use of space. And one of the things we're finding in looking at the use of space is actually that we have enormous capacity. Now, that capacity is at the either ends of the day very often, or on Fridays. But one of the things the board is going to ask us next time we come and ask for the building, they're going to say, what is your use ratio of the current space? And I don't know that they have any idea what it should be. I don't, but we now know that we do have capacity.
Which fiscal year is the performance-based funding supposed to kick in?
Well, they'll start discussing it in the legislature in January. So my guess is the first thing that will happen, and at least this is now the talk, is they'll establish the base for each of the 3 institutions. And that base number is we did a disparity study we talked about before, and so our base would likely start at 103 million. And then probably in the following year, you begin to look at performance funding. That's about as fast as I can imagine happening.
So then that means that the additional funding that we would get beyond 103 would only come for the marginal increases in students, baccalaureates, and in student credit hours completed. So in other words, totally outcomes based. No longer the number of students who enroll, and we haven't gotten enrollment funding in the last few years, and we've been growing anyway. But we would not get anything unless there was a marginal increase in those numbers.
How does summer school fit in? Is that a way to generate additional revenues or different hours that would help that funding?
If we were much better using the summer school and could get students to think about it as a third semester, that probably would help. And remember, summer school is entirely
So,
yeah.
What is the population, the high school population looking like in the next 5 years or something?
One of the things we're worrying a little bit about is we've done very well in competing with the U of A and ASU for the graduating high school students in Arizona. But what you're beginning to see happen is that pool is not enlarging of students who are ready to go to college. And that means that enrollment will likely slow a bit. We couldn't sustain 24.5% increase over the last 3 years. So we think that'll slow a little bit, and we think the competition will get even more severe within the state of Arizona for those graduates.